ACCUSTATS Video Productions brings you live from Lexington, Kentucky, the Lexington All-Star Open. Well, my special guest for this feature match of the evening is Grady Mathews and Jeff Carter. Well, boys, this is the first tournament we've done in quite some time. The last tournament was actually in King Prussia, Pennsylvania, the Valley Forge Open that was, and Alan Hopkins defeated Kim Davenport in the finals. And we have a real interesting match coming up this evening between two young players, not exactly one young player, Johnny Archer, and a fellow who was really big in the pool scene years ago by the name of Louie Roberts, St. Louis Louie. Grady, you know Louie Roberts a little better than Jeff, I do imagine, so why don't you tell us a little about Louie Roberts?
Louie's one of my favorite pool players. He's colorful, exciting, a warm human being. And he's total offense. Everybody loves the style of Louie Roberts' game. I think we're in for a great contest here. And I personally would like to see Louie stage kind of a flashback and return to form of old.
Well, Jeff, you've been finishing quite high in recent tournaments, and obviously you've played young Johnny Archer a few times. How do you feel he's coming along with his game?
Well, he's coming along real good. I would have to say that his style is perfectly suited for 9-ball because he's got a fantastic break and he pockets balls real good. So I think that he's a favorite in this match, probably just because of his break, if not anything else.
Well, that's exactly right. Johnny Archer is a favorite in this match. He's been playing quite consistently on the Pro Tour for the last year and a half, I would say. I think he's currently ranked number 8 in the Pro Tour. He's broken the balls, and did Johnny Archer break the balls in this game, Grady? I don't think he pocketed a ball on the break.
No, he didn't make a ball on the break.
Louie came to the table, and he's got an opportunity to run the first rack. Now, the 7 and 9, those are the two balls on the right-hand portion of our screen next to the side pocket.
Louie's had his share of personal problems, fellas, and he's managed to get past those pretty much. I advised him only a couple of days ago to maybe move out of St. Louis. That's almost like a pool graveyard. He needs to get out and kind of mix it up. Louie likes to match up and play for money, and he's always been a good tournament player. All he needs is to get out and get his feet wet a little bit, and we might see him return to the player he once was.
Let's not let this go unnoticed. Now, the 7 and 9 are tied up right now on close to the side rail. Right now, I think it's a very good time to break those balls open because the 5 is lying in the side pocket.
Yeah, well, it looks like he hooked himself here practically, or if he can make the 5, he can just barely hit it. I think I would have tried to go into the 7-9 there, just enough to just split them apart, and then you got the 5 in the side.
That's exactly right. Now, that seems to be what happens when you're absent from the Pro Tour for a while. You don't really notice some of the things that should be done right away. I guess you might call it a little bit of a pressure situation when you're confronted, with those type of problems in front of the audience here.
He's going to shoot this, it looks to me like, and I think he'd be better advised to play safe. Oh, what a great shot.
Well, Louie Roberts is a great shot maker, and he's always been very, very effective with shot making. He has been regarded as probably one of the best shot makers of all time. Mike Siegel will attest to that.
He has such a fluid, smooth stroke to him. As far as raw natural talent goes, I don't know that there's anybody was ever more possessed of it than Louie.
I've had the pleasure of playing him a couple of times, and there's been times where he's been just unbelievable how good that he played, pocketing balls and running out from just would look like there was no place to run out from.
You know, Louie Roberts has won several world titles in his career. Now, he has been absent from the game for quite some time. I think just recently he's trying to make a comeback. I believe it was in 1974. Also 1976, he won the Orlando Open Championship. In 1979, he won the U.S. Open Championship. And in 1981, he won the U.S. Open again, defeating Mike Massey.
That was kind of a weak shot, Billy. He didn't even get distance between the balls. I don't believe he picked an especially high percentage safety there. Louie, of course, not really your kind of player. You like a nuts and bolts, 6 inches away from the object ball kind of guy, a guy that's going to pinch and squeeze and bunt and duck and play safe. And Louie's going to be firing at his pocket.
Well, you're half right again, Grady. I kind of do prefer to watch that type of a player play, but only when he needs to play that way. Naturally, you have to have offense in order to defeat world-class players. But then again, you have to have the good common sense of knowing when and where to play safe. Now, he hit that very, very nicely, and it captures the first game and takes the early 1-0 lead in the match.
Jeff, have you enjoyed our respite away from the clutches of Mr. Cardone?
Well, I tell you what, I really have a good time up here in the booth with you guys. I really get a lot of laughs. I've learned a lot of new words, and plus I've also taken up the practice of looking up words that I don't know what they mean when I'm reading. And I'm going to lay a few of them on you guys here before this session is over.
I did tell Billy that I went out with a lady the other night. I told you my wife served me with divorce papers, and that was dramatic. But she was anatomically vague.
Well, somebody or Billy asked me what that meant, and I said, well, the girl that you're with, you couldn't tell if she was a man or a woman, but it could have meant she just wasn't built up to your liking, Grady. I don't know.
Well, they're all to my liking. I've enjoyed the company of women to my financial detriment for my entire adulthood.
No wonder your wife served you with the divorce papers. Anyways.
No, I don't mean that I womanize. I wouldn't do that.
Well, I'm just trying to joke with you, Grady, like I always have.
And back to the match, I thought for about a year that Johnny Archer is the best young player out here on the tour. He's got no weaknesses, no bad habits. He practices religiously. Got a good attitude.
Well, Johnny Archer started playing pool when he was 11 years old. He's actually 21 now, and he believes right now he's at the top of his game.
And he took his share of lashings, too. He's down there in Meadow, Georgia. A lot of road players went through there, and they would always beat Johnny. But he started every once in a while to win, and he learned kind of the hard way, you might say, just like the old-timers did. He had a tough position shot. I don't think he meant to be this low, Jeff.
Well, I think that he's still all right. He didn't hook himself. He got lucky that he ran into the 7 and ended up with this shot. He could have grazed off the 7 and hooked himself. So just the fact that he's got a shot here, he should retain control of this rack here, either by making the ball or he can play safe if he wants. He can do anything he wants here.
Oh, he's going to play this in the corner, not the easiest shot.
Yeah, but he shoots so straight that I don't think this shot's going to give him that much of a problem. It's not really an easy shot by any means, but of course, this young man has an eagle eye. He stays down well over the ball.
Just kind of punches in with a center ball hit like that.
And didn't hit a rail, hit it very cleanly.
Speed was very crucial on that because he could even hit the ball a little bit, and if he hits the long rail going in with that speed that he shot at, he'd still make the ball.
That's a very good observation, Jeff. Most importantly, in that type of a shot, speed is very important. And he hit it at the correct speed, but he hit it so well that he really didn't matter what kind of speed he hit it with. He hit it at the center of the pocket. Meantime, he stepped up and missed a 5-ball straight in the hole.
You know what I miss? I miss Louie talking to the audience. He's always been a crowd-pleasing type player. And it used to be that when he played a match, you could expect him to make conversation with the spectators.
You know, I think that that was very colorful when he used to do that. However, I think that some of his actions were a little bit boisterous, and I think some of that things that happened to him bad were one of the reasons because of his personality. And he's really slowed down a little bit because he knows that he's not Louie Roberts of 15 years ago, and so he's a little bit more serious now, and he wants to win. He doesn't care about talking to the crowd anymore. Not saying that he won't do it, but he's real serious about what he's trying to do. So I think you're going to see him rather subdued. And if he gets his confidence back, then I think he might change. But right now, he's just concentrating on running out.
That's exactly right, Jeff. I think once a player starts playing very well, then it gets a voice. But he really hasn't proven to anyone in recent years that he can play as well as he did years ago. So therefore, that's why one of the reasons why he isn't really as boisterous or loquacious as he once was. Well, in the meantime, like you said, if he starts winning, I think we're going to hear something from him.
Look where Louie's breaking from, boys. He's right in the middle of the table, just like where the old timers broke from. But he hasn't made a ball on the break yet. And I think if he's going to defeat Johnny Archer, he's going to have to make a correction in that department.
Well, if he stays out here on the Pro Tour long enough, he's going to realize that sooner or later he's going to start going over to the side rail like everybody else does, because you get so much more action over there. And if you've really got a super dynamite break, then you can break from the middle of the table like that. But you don't get as much action as you do if you go over to the side.
Now he's got problems with the 4-ball here. He needs to get an angle on a 3 where it can go between a 7 and 9 with the cue ball.
That's exactly right. Let me ask you a question, Jeff. All the players, at least most of the players, do break from the side rail. Not only do you get better action breaking from the side rail, but it's a lot easier to control the cue ball when you break from the side rail. What are the advantages, if any, from breaking from the center of the table?
Well, I think I don't think it's easier to control the cue ball from the side. I think that it's easier to control out in the middle of the table, because when you break from the side, the cue ball has a tendency to bounce more because you're striking down. If you're shooting off the rail, you're striking down at the cue ball, and it has a tendency to bounce. And then when it hits the rack and it's bouncing, it'll have a tendency to keep going forward until it stops bouncing. And when you break from the center of the table, you don't have that. So I think it's easier to break from the center of the table, but it seems like it's harder to generate the power from the center that you get from the side. And plus, you don't get the action on the 1 from the center that you do from the side. The 1 will head towards the side pocket and off the break, and if it doesn't go there, a lot of times it goes 1 rail in the corner.
Okay, that was very well put. And in the meantime, Johnny Archer has gotten himself in perfect line on the 5-ball, and it was very crucial for him to get this type of an angle in this particular rack in order to run the remaining balls on the table. And he's gotten on the right side of the 5-ball. He's going to just draw straight down the table for the 6, which is located on the opposite end of the table on the rail.
I think he's going to force it to the side rail, short of the side pocket with quite a bit of right English, and let it just kind of roll down long and like that.
Well, incidentally, I have to play the loser of this match, so maybe you might be interested in who I want to win and why.
Well, are you asking yourself that question, or do you want us to ask you that question?
If you don't want to know, I won't say anything, but I do have a definite preference of who I'd like to play in my next match.
And who would that be? I'm very curious.
Well, I would like to play Louie Roberts because his break isn't as good as Johnny Archer's, and if you're not threatened by the break, it makes it a lot easier to play. But when you get a guy like Johnny, I mean, he can control the whole tempo of the match just with his break.
That's exactly right, and that's probably one of the reasons why he's currently ranked number 8 on the Pro Tour. Along with his other attributes, I mean, he certainly does know how to play the game of 9-ball. Johnny knows 9-ball.
Yes.
Do we have to listen to this?
Well, this is the 3rd game of this match, and now all of a sudden Johnny Archer finds himself on the board, trailing 2 games to 1.
And Louie has not pocketed the ball on the break yet. He's going to have to make an adjustment there. Now, Johnny's a great position player, too. For a young, good player, he probably plays better position than anybody I've ever seen.
Well, incidentally, you know, in the last 2 events that Johnny Archer has played in, he's finished first in each one of those. And those were the Mid-South Open in Atlanta, Georgia, and then also in Birmingham, Alabama. So you can say he's like kind of on a roll here, and he wants to stay on a roll. So let's watch him break these balls. He has excellent control with the cue ball off the break, and he certainly has a lot of power. Now he's going to the side rail. Now he started to break from the bed of the table. Now he's changed his mind. He's going to the side. Now watch the explosion, because he certainly has a very powerful break. As you noticed, well, the cue ball went in the side. But how many balls did he make that rack there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that all? Just 4 balls?
Well, he made 4 in addition to the cue ball, but as you notice, he broke the balls from the right-hand side of the table, the way we're looking at it, and the 1 ball went over into the left side pocket, so it went straight in the hole, and that's a characteristic of this break. Also, the corner ball on the rack, when it has a tendency to go from the same side that you break from, that corner ball has a tendency to go into the corner pocket on the same side of the table.
Well, if he's ever able to control that type of a break, he certainly will be extremely dangerous pocketing 4 balls on the break.
See, this is one thing about playing the 9-ball rules that I don't like. I think that this slows the game down here because Johnny, he possesses a real strong break, and it's an attribute for him. However, when he broke and he scratched on the break and he wasn't penalized for it immediately, and if he hits the 1 ball, then he might not be penalized for it at all. But if you're playing everything goes down, which I think that should be played, it would make the game a little bit faster. And plus, if you can't keep the cue ball on the table, then you shouldn't be rewarded for it.
That's a very, very interesting point that you brought up there, Jeff. And in all fairness, I do agree with you. I feel that the players that have that dynamite break, you know, the Johnny Archers, David Howards, Wade Cranes, you know, that they should be penalized if they can't control the cue ball on the break. And for fellas like Alan Hopkins, Grady Mathews, Keith McCready, those fellas who don't bring a tremendous break to the table, you know, in all fairness, I feel that since they bring the cue ball control to the table posted a powerful break, that when their opponent does scratch on the break, that they should have an advantage. I think we just find a lot more winners, different types of winners, you know, different faces up there then.
Well, you know, it's like in order to win a pro 9-ball tournament, you don't have to be a well-rounded player. But you have to be able to pocket balls and play position. And if you got a good break or a real good break, then you're a threat to win the tournament. You don't even have to be well-rounded. And what I mean by well-rounded is playing other games besides just 9-ball. There's straight pool, 1-pocket banks, 3-cushion billiards, and all of these games. The better you play them, the better all-around player you are.
Well, maybe at the next board meeting, we might be able to bring that up to Joe Kerr and members of the board, possibly with a slight rule change in our PBA rules, because I kind of like that rule. If you scratch on the break, I think everything should stay down.
Right. Well, it also speeds the game up, right? Because instead of the game being over in like 30 seconds, then you're looking at a game, the rack that might last 5 minutes because they're jockeying back and forth, kicking at the ball, playing safe, trying not to run out, and going for a safe instead of playing aggressive.
Well, treating a foul on the break, which is certainly the most important shot in the game, as a lesser foul than any other subsequent foul later in the game is ludicrous, in my opinion.
I totally agree with that. In the meantime, the young Johnny Archer is confronted with a slight problem here. I don't know what he has in mind right now, but
behind the 9.
Behind the 9. Now he has to do a little something with the cue ball here. This is not anything he can just roll behind there. Like he stroked it well, and he's done exactly what he's intended to do. Now Louie finds himself behind the 9 ball.
Now, if Louie can go 2 cushions and hit the bottom side of the 2 ball, he's got an excellent chance to have the cue ball come back towards the 9 and end up with a good safety. Could have been worse. I think he would have been better advised to strike it a little bit harder.
It's a little bit harder, is right.
Well, what I'd like to know is why do the things always stay the same? They never change. I mean, everybody says, yeah, that'd be a good idea. This would be a good idea, and nothing ever happens. Do you have an answer for that, Billy?
What do you mean by that? I don't understand the question.
Answer for it.
We're talking about the rules, the type of tables we play on, those 2 things in specific right there, you know.
Having an IQ of 7 precludes being on the Men's Professional Association board.
Well, let's not get into that, but things do change, Jeff. We've had several rule changes in the PBA or MPBA in recent years.
Well, the rules should be made up by some of the guys that get out here and make a living playing the sport, not by guys who sit behind a desk and do promotional things to make a buck. I like to have a guy that has some say-so in things that might affect how I make a living, that's been to the school of hard knocks, so to speak. Well,
that particular rule change that Jeff suggested is a very good one, I think. I think it not only speeds up the game, which is better for television, it's better for the interest of the game, or people say more interest in the game because it takes a lot of safeties out of it, the early safeties, and that makes the game go much quicker. Louie hit that ball a little bit. He hit the full side of the ball, and now it's hanging in the hole for young Johnny Archer.
How many times have we talked about that, fellas, about when you hit a ball easy and you got a little cut to it, you got to overcut it a little bit because the cue ball stays in contact with the object ball a microsecond longer than the initial contact, and kind of pushes or throws the ball into the rail.
It looked like it skidded a little bit when he hit it.
Well, that's another reason why you should overcut it a little bit to in case it does skid a little bit, at least you get the extra cut that you need to make the ball. You should play the outside of the pocket if you're going to hit it that slow of a speed. Balls have a tendency to skid more when you hit them at a slower speed.
Well, there's another thing, another principle espoused by Jim Rempe is that when you're cutting the ball like that down the rail, that when you just automatically the way you hit it, you're going to transfer spin so that if it does hit the long rail, it's going to have the natural spin so that when it hits the short rail to spin in towards the pocket. So there's different ways of looking at it. He says that you want to kind of hit it a little bit fuller because then the English that you're imparting just by crossing it when you cut it pulls the ball into the pocket.
And that reverts back to where Johnny Archer had that shot in the 4-ball. Hitting it with the correct speed will give you that maximum spin on the object ball that the pocket will accept easier. Well, in that particular shot, Grady was making reference to the speed that he hit that shot with. He says when you hit a shot soft with a soft speed, you should have a tendency to overcut the ball.
Well, how many have we seen? We've seen over 100 similar type shots missed every time on the thick side.
Well, what do you think's wrong with Johnny Archer right now? He's already missed at least 2 balls that he very makeable. You think that maybe he's thinking about the old Louie Roberts here?
I don't think so. This has been a mystery to me about Johnny Archer. He certainly has all the equipment. He has loads of ability, and he can play just about flawless at any time. But yet I see him time and time again miss easy shots. I don't know if he's loafing out there or what. I mean, does he have to fall behind before he's able to get himself together or what? I don't know. Maybe
well, I think what it is, when you're Johnny Archer's age, you haven't had the experience to put your concentration practices into use. Takes a while to learn how to concentrate properly.
Well, that's true. In the meantime, that was game number 4. Louie Roberts has the lead in the match 3-1. I think that Johnny Archer will get his game together before this match is over. Like I said before, he's won the last 2 tournaments he's entered. He's on a roll. He feels very good about his game, especially right now. And I think that we're going to see some fine play from young Johnny Archer before this match is over. I noticed Louie's
still
break.
has not made a ball on the break.
Well, he doesn't really possess a strong break. You know, he's always been referred to as a mediocre breaker. He doesn't have a strong break like Johnny Archer. You know, the balls don't even spread out. Look, there's 9 balls on the table. 8 of them are on the side of the side pocket. Now Johnny Archer steps to the table one more time with a pretty good opportunity here, wouldn't you think?
I would have to say this is not a cinch run out. It all depends what he does with the shooting the 3-ball to get on the 4. If he gets good shape on the 4-ball, then the rack should be over. But
I might try to go into the 4 here, Jeff. It looks like the safest way to get on the deuce. You kind of play the cue ball between the 2 and 4. To go over by the 2-ball is a little risky.
That's exactly right. It was a little risky. He hit it quite well, and unfortunately, he stopped just in time for him to be able to cut the 2 in the pocket. Now, I think on the 3-ball, you have to have one angle or the other. Getting straight in on the 3-ball would be disastrous. But which angle would you prefer to have on the 3-ball to get to the 4?
I would rather be all the way over or close to the rail on the where Johnny's standing right now, and that way. Even if you don't get shape on the 4, you're still going to be able to hit the ball, and then you're in control. So you can shoot the 4 if you don't get straight on it and pull the cue ball back behind the 6 and the 7. You can do anything you want. Like he got perfect on the 3 right now to get on the 4.
That's exactly right. He's got just about the perfect location on the 3. This way he can follow through the 3-ball, avoid the 9, and spin over to the 4. And I think he's in a perfect location on the table to get to the 4.
No, what he's got to be thinking of when he shoots his ball is that he would rather go not quite far enough than too far, because if he goes over too far, then he could hook himself behind the 6 or go end over on the rail. And he hit it perfect. He's absolutely perfect. But he was thinking either not hard enough. If he's going to do anything wrong, it would rather be on the not hard enough instead of too hard, because if he's too hard, he can't make the 4 anyway. He might even hook himself.
That's exactly right, and it's very important to think that way when you're playing 9-ball. There are the professional side and there's the non-professional side, and it's very, very crucial at times to be thinking that way. What is the right side of the ball to get on certain shots?
And then the other times it comes up where you say, well, I would rather go too far than not far enough, because if you go too far, then you will have a shot, and if you don't go far enough, then you're hooked. So you got to look at it. It happens in both ways.
So it looks like if Johnny Archer runs the remaining balls on the table, he will in fact recover from the mistake that he made the last game, giving Louie Roberts the opportunity to win game number 4, taking a 3-1 lead. If Johnny Archer runs the remaining 3 balls on the table, he'll cut into that lead at 3-2. And again, we'll be at the table breaking the balls with his dynamite break.
Well, he broke and he made 4 balls the last break, but he did scratch in the side pocket when he hit the rack. The cue ball headed directly over towards the side, and then another ball knocked it in. So what he's going to try to do now is adjust his aim a little bit so that when he hits the rack, the cue ball comes back more towards the middle of the table.
Well, he made 4 balls. The last time he broke the balls, Grady, he scratched in the side pocket. Do you look for him to decrease the speed of the break, or do you just look for him to break the balls with the same force and just try to put a little more accuracy on the control of the cue ball?
I don't think he'll take anything off of this break. He's got a lot of confidence in that particular shot, and he'll just try to not scratch.
Right. Well, see what he's looking for. He's looking for a certain angle that can become inculcated, therefore keeping him from scratching on the break.
Jeff, I appreciate your.
Well, you're right again, Grady. He didn't take anything off the break, as you witnessed right there. The balls exploded one more time, making the corner ball.
I appreciate your inundating Billy and myself with these fine words. We're especially awash with them today, as a matter of fact.
Well, I still haven't heard any affirmatives about what I just said. Are we sitting here kind of dumbfounded, or are we in the know?
Well, a knowledgeable friend of mine suggested that I might be leaning on the pedantic side, and so I decided to kind of cut back and just relax and listen mostly to the sterling commentary of my erstwhile associates.
Well, thank you, Grady. You've been quite generous during the course of this match. I was wondering why. You were instructed not to talk much. That's good.
Well, the rightness of my analysis has proven to be somewhat disconcerting to you, Billy, and I decided not to make many comments on what the guys were going to do because...
Sickening to be right all the time.
Yes, it is. It really is.
Okay, well, for all you people out there who are wondering what the word was that I used, it was inculcated, and what it means is to become impressed upon your mind.
Well, that's very good. Become impressed upon your mind. That's very good. I'll look for another time where I can use that word.
Well, make sure you know how to spell it before you use it.
Well, you know that I'm an excellent speller. In the meantime, let's not let this match slip away. The score right now in the match is Roberts has 3 games and Johnny Archer has 2. Johnny Archer elected to play the 1-9 combination, figuring that, if he made the 9 ball, the game would be over, and if he missed the 9 ball, that Louie Roberts might not have a shot because the 7 ball's in the center of the table and the cue ball might be blocking it from the 1.
Well, it looks to me like if he kicked at it real first, like he's looking at right now, if he hits it right, that he could play billiard off the 1 into the 9. It would have to strike it just perfect because the 1 is
hit it thick enough.
The 1 is a little bit far from the 9. But even if he wants to hit the 1 anyway, even if he doesn't do anything else, just to get it away from the 9 ball.
I think if he hits it, he's got a chance, Grady, especially if he hits it with a high ball with a little speed. I think the 1 ball, the cue ball will come back into the 9.
But the only thing that he didn't want to do was not hit the ball, right?
And
If
again,
he
he shot
hits
it
the 9 or hits the
easy.
1 or whatever. See, now that's due to rustiness right there. There's no way that he should try to kick at that ball and not hit it.
That's exactly right.
No, that was
It's
not a
very
difficult
crucial.
kick.
It was very crucial for him at that time to hit the ball, the 1 ball.
It's like I think that Louie really, he looks like he's pocketing balls all right, but he doesn't look like he's thinking real well. Right?
Well, that's never been a big part of his game anyway. I love the guy like a brother, but he's never been a pinpoint player.
Well, like that. I mean, he should say, well, I don't care if I don't make the 9, but I'm going to hit the 1 or hit something down there, or hit the 9 too, just to move one of those balls out of the way instead of having both of them sit there and the guy gets the ball in hand.
And he should have hit the ball with a little more speed, like Grady suggested. Well, there goes the cue ball again, and he's broken the balls now 3 times, scratching twice.
Well,
How many balls did he pocket on this particular break? I believe 2. 2 balls on this break.
he tried to body English that cue ball out of the pocket to no avail.
See, now here it goes again where he broke the balls, and he doesn't pay any penalty for it. Louie is going to have to make a good shot here in order to hook him, or he can tell Johnny to shoot again. What I think he should do here is I think he should play a move the cue ball up from where it is and play off the right-hand side of the 1 from the way we're looking at it, and come 2 rails around the table, knocking the 1 over behind the 4-9, and then the cue ball comes around and over on the same side of the table, and he's hooked by those 3 balls there.
There's another option that's available to him, I think. That's just to bring the cue ball straight up from where it's at now and just hit the side of the 1. Now the 1 should go in between the 4-5, and the cue ball should just float to the bottom rail, maybe around that next to that 8 somewhere. And now he has the 6 ball there to help hook him with, too.
The 3 is going to move the 6, though.
Well, if he just floats it down there, I don't think it won't move that much. Or the 3 will take its place.
Also, if he cuts the 1, the 1's going to go over by the 4. I think it's going to go even with the 4.
Yeah, I noticed that myself. Billy said below
He's got a
the
tough
4,
shot
won't
here.
go below the 4.
Well, he'll have the cue ball near the 8 ball. Now the 6 ball and the 3 will be down there. He'll have a wall of balls there to try to hook his opponent with. I think that's a pretty effective shot from at least
Well, I
from
think
the
the
angle
right
that I
shot
see.
is to thin the 1, knocking it over. It's going to hit the bottom part of the 4, hopefully, and play the cue ball 3 cushions long down there by the 2 ball. And even if he should leave the 1 where Johnny can see it, he can't make anything because the 7's in the way.
Yeah, well, he'd have to come with a heck of a shot anyway. See, at the very worst, you should leave him distance here and try to put the cue ball on the rail.
And I certainly wouldn't consider giving this to Johnny.
No, he's got some pretty good options available to him. I don't know which one he's going to choose, but I certainly wouldn't give up the shot.
See, now the way I think it should be played here, I think the 1 and the 3 should have stayed down. The 2 ball should go down, and you should have ball in hand shooting the 4 and the 7. Well, ball in hand, just ball in hand. If you can't keep the cue ball on the table when you break, it's ball in hand.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, Louie works for a place in St. Louis, and when it's time for him to get paid, the guy gets on the microphone. He said, "It's time for Louie to get paid. Everybody get ready." And the guy stands up on kind of a platform and throws down Louie's pay all in $1 bills.
That's funny. It looks like he's going to shoot Grady's shot, or maybe it's Jeff's shot he's shooting here.
As mentioned before, if it becomes too disgusting, just say so, and I'll
Well, you know,
making these
he
forecasts.
may have shot the shot you suggested, but the results weren't really in his favor. If you take a look at the balls now, I like the other shot with the cue ball down on the bottom rail. He might have been hooked right now.
Yeah, he might have been able to. Well, I think he's all right now, because if he wouldn't want to leave him over on the right-hand side of the 2, because then he could just nudge the 1 down and put the cue ball behind the 4 and the 9.
Now,
So
see,
he left Louie a shot here.
Johnny's not a one-pocket player. If he were, he'd have a much easier time with that.
I don't think Louie's much of a one-pocket player either, or else he would have a lot easier time with his shot.
I don't know if this goes or not from here. It looks like it may. And he's wondering how to get on the 2 ball, I think.
I don't think it goes.
Well, he plays, if it doesn't go, he's got a nice safety. The cue ball into the 3, the 1 off the high side of the 8. Nice, easy snooker.
Well, it does go. By the way he was cueing the ball, it didn't look like it would go, because it didn't look like he was trying to play position on the 2.
All right. Now you play safe here. You go off the right side of the deuce, down by the 4 and 7 ball. Louie may not do that. He may bank at this.
He certainly is offensive-minded, and he'll either cut it or bank it.
Well, I don't know if that's what he wanted to do, but it seemed to me like he hit it awful hard.
It looks like he had more control, or else thought he might be a little more accurate hitting it at that speed.
Now, if I'd have made up my mind to cut at that, Jeff, I think I'd have gone into the 5 or the 9 or the 4, just one cushion.
Yeah, right. Make it as simple as you can. Then you're also breaking the 5 out, and you're rearranging those balls, and the cue ball is coming down to where you got a shot on the 3 ball too.
Plus, you might leave the 2 on the other end rail.
That was a hell of a shot he just made right there.
You know, last time you were doing the commentary, you swore like that, and you were suspended for 6 weeks. You want that to happen to you again?
Well, evidently it hasn't become inculcated.
You know, we won't tolerate vulgarity on the air here.
Okay, I apologize.
It's okay. In the
Well,
meantime,
I promise, Pat, that I wouldn't use pantaloons. Johnny's a terrific shot maker anyway. He makes shots like that last one look relatively
Quite frequently.
simple.
Yes, he does make them look relatively simple. He's got a little problem with the 5 ball here. It isn't what you might say. It's lying in an ideal position. I mean, it is next to that rail, not by the side pocket. He only has one pocket the 5 will go in directly. That's the corner pocket. Could bank it cross-side, but there's no need for that. He's going to just shoot the 4, come out where the cue ball is about right now, I think, and shoot the 5, come across table again. 6 in the same corner the 4 goes into, depending on where the cue ball stops for the 5. Okay, now he looks like he's going to go cross table here, Jeff. Would you go cross table and shoot the 6 in the same pocket where you shot the 4 in? I would believe so.
Yeah, I would. Just a little bit of draw to pull the cue ball back over across the table. And he wants to make sure that, if anything, he stays on the high side of the 6 ball. He doesn't want to come down to the bottom rail, because then he would be forced to go around the table to get shape on the 8.
But actually, ideally, he wants to get sort of like straight in on the 6. But of course, sometimes that won't happen. And like this time now, he's gotten on top of it. Now he has to go into the 8. Now on this particular shot, if you can, well, it looks like he can draw and just clip the top of the 8 here very softly, like so. We're just missing it. That's very nice. He can't let up on his stroke on this particular shot. You got to go ahead and stroke this shot and like punch it so the cue ball gets up there. He must have had a little different angle than I thought he had. In the meantime, he's handled it quite easily. This is game number 7. The match is tied up 3 games apiece. Looks like he's going to take a slight edge here and go in front 4 games to 3.
And the stands are rife with Poulden's intelligentsia as we peruse this very match.
And can you name a few, please?
Well, Pittsburgh John, you know what a colorful player he was. John hasn't been feeling well.
Yeah,
Cornbread didn't make it this year. He claimed that they put one of his matches on the practice table last year. He was irate.
Someone was talking about Pittsburgh John just an hour or so ago. Now, it was funny that you mentioned his name. They said they went to Detroit, I believe it was in the late 70s. And they seen Pittsburgh John. He was sleeping on the couch. He had a beard, and he looked like he was broke, and obviously he was. He didn't have a car, and he was very, very humble. And several months later, they made another appearance in Detroit at the Rack and Q, or Capitol Billiards. I don't know what name it was called at that time. And they seen John again, and at this time he had on a mohair suit, and he was smoking a cigar. He had a girl, had a brand new Lincoln Continental. A couple of months could do a lot for a man up in Detroit.
Yes, it can. And while John was down and out, he had the room by the pool, meaning by the water fountain. He'd sleep on the couch there by the water fountain. And John, when he took off his shoes, could clear out an auditorium.
All right. Meantime, Johnny Archer broke the ball, pocketed the ball in the break. This time he didn't scratch. He got a fairly testy shot in the 1, no problem for him.
Well, it looks to me like so far what has shown up in this match is Louie Roberts' rustiness. He's made a couple of bad decisions, and what he's going to have to do if he loses this match, or even if he wins, is to think back on the mistakes that he made and try to correct them. Because like when he tried to cut that 2-ball in last game, and it just seemed like if he didn't even think about it at all. He could have played safe. He could have done a lot of other things than what he did, and ended up selling out. Now he lost that game, and now Johnny is broke, and he's looks like he's going to run out this rack too. So you can't do that when you're playing top-notch players. You can't play without thinking.
That's exactly right. He doesn't sense that he's in a fight for his life here, playing a player like Johnny Archer. He doesn't have that sense of realization right now, and that's what he desperately needs. He needs to have that killer instinct that he once had before, and go ahead there with the determination he once had and play hard quality pool. Oh, incidentally, a young Johnny Archer is playing on a television pool show in San Diego, California called The King of the Hill Heavyweight Billiards television show. He's won 4 consecutive matches, and the winner of each match is given $4,000. He's won 4 consecutive matches. He's been awarded $16,000, and I believe he plays again sometime in March, I believe it is. I don't know who he is going to play. He doesn't know that either. The way they pick his opponent is I believe there's 2 or 3 people that pick the best player in a certain city. They telephone him or notify him some way. He shows up and he plays for the King of the Hill. Johnny Archer doesn't know who he's going to be playing next, but he's won 4 consecutive matches for a total prize of $16,000, and he's very happy about that.
Well, excluding you, Bill, I think I'm the best pool player in Chicago, and geez, maybe they'll be calling me, huh?
Well, thanks a lot, Jeff. Maybe they will.
I don't know. I've been waiting 30 years for my phone to ring, Jeff. No, I'm serious. To go to an invitational TV event has never happened. I mean, I wish you good luck, but you got to look at the dark side of things.
That's exactly right, Jeff. Instead of looking at your gas tank half full, you must look at it as half empty.
Right, I agree.
Well, there goes that dynamite break again, pocketing again 2 balls on the break. This time, getting a nice shot on the 1 ball. The 5 and 8 are the 2 balls that seem to be a little tied up on the right-hand portion of our screen there, the side pocket. The 2 ball is in the center of the table, just about.
I think I'd have to take a little gamble and go into these 2 balls from behind.
Well, it's really not a bad option. You know, I don't know if it's really advisable, but it certainly isn't a bad option because they will leave, and whether or not you'll get a shot on the 2 remains to be seen. But if you decide to go into the balls, I would think that you would have to go into them 2 rails into the balls and make sure you stroke it to get away from the balls.
Sure, 2 rails.
That's 1,
exactly
2. Okay, now I think I would have stroked a little more, but of course he's ended up with a very nice shot.
Well, I'll tell you what, he did end up with a nice shot, but whether or not he can get shape on the 3, the 9 looks like it might be blocking the 3 a little bit, and he can't follow the cue ball because the 8's in the way.
He'll play this in the corner, Jeff, I believe.
Well, no, I don't know if he will or not, but the side pocket to me looks a lot easier than the corner here right now.
Well, if he can shoot the 2 ball in the side pocket and draw the cue ball off the 8 without scratching and avoiding that scratch, he'll probably do that. But if he can't, he might just have to be forced to play the 2 ball in the corner pocket.
I believe that to be the correct choice.
Sometimes you have to take the little more difficult shot in order to get the position that you need on the next ball.
Well, let's put it this way. If he can shoot the 2 ball in the side pocket and get position, then that's the way he'll go. But if he can't, then he will have to go in the corner.
Very well put, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, Bill.
Well, he elected to shoot the 2 ball into the side pocket because it was a much easier shot. I believe he exercised very poor judgment in doing so. It doesn't look like he has a shot in the 3.
That's one of the worst pool shots I ever saw in my life.
Well,
cue ball had
I highly doubt that.
The cue ball had to go where it in fact ended up.
Well, I would just like to say that I predicted it, and it happened.
It's a pleasure to work with somebody like you, Jeff, who's right occasionally, unlike my associate here.
You know, we've gotten a lot of fan mail recently and criticizing, actually, Grady for getting on me so much, and they say, why don't you let that knowledgeable man alone for a while?
That's the most bald-faced lie I ever heard in my life. Actually, we've only got 1 fan letter, and they expressed total delight in our fun making up here. You know, I thought doing these commentaries might dull Billy's reflexes, and I might be able to win an occasional wager, but that has not, in fact, occurred.
I don't know, what were you referring to? I don't really understand what you just said.
Well, I thought not being out there gambling and matching up with the guys as much as in the past, that you might make an occasional mistake, but being a terrific odds maker and having a lot of patience, you're still a difficult man to defeat.
Well, I hope I stay that way, you know. Of course, that probably won't happen.
What's the score
In the meantime, it looks like Johnny Archer's very difficult to beat right now. He was a little complacent, I would think, at the beginning of the match. He really wasn't giving it 100% effort. That's the way I seen it, at least. and I thought that he had to like fall behind a little bit for him to get in gear, to give him the, you know, that inspiration that he needed.
What's the present score?
Right now, it's 5-3 in favor of Johnny Archer. This is game number 9, and it looks like he's going to extend it even further now to 6-3.
Yeah, Louie needs to come to life a little bit here.
Well, I think that it looks like Johnny's taking control of the match, and if Louie does get beat, I hope he doesn't sit there and try to figure out what he's doing wrong until after we get done playing.
Well, Jeff, it looks like if everything goes as it's been going, that you're going to have your wish. You're going to be playing Louie Roberts in your next match. And did you learn anything, at least at this point of the match, what you have to do to defeat Louie Roberts?
Well, probably the same thing that I have to do playing any good player, and that's not make any unforced errors, because I'm not going to take him for granted if I have to play him. But I do know that his break isn't going to be as big of a factor when we play. So that's, I mean, not saying that it couldn't be by the time, but it doesn't appear that it's going to be.
Well, I agree with that. In the meantime, Louie comes to the table with an extremely difficult shot on the 1. The cue ball is parked directly in front of the 3. Notice how much he has to elevate. Even if he makes the 1 ball, controlling the 2 ball is another problem.
Well, the key to shooting that shot there, in addition to making it, would be to make sure you hit the cue ball in the center, because when you're jacked up like that, and if you fail to hit the cue ball in the center, it will curve on you more so than it would if you were playing with a level stroke. So if I was shooting that shot, I would concentrate on hitting the cue ball in the center so that at least it goes where I aim it.
That's a very, very good point and extremely noteworthy. Whenever you're elevated to that degree especially, it's very, very important to hit the cue ball in the center so you won't get that massé that you really didn't intend to get.
It's like shooting jump shots when you're jacked up like that. It's very important that you hit the ball in the center, because if you don't, you might make it over the ball you're trying to jump, and the cue ball will hook out of the path that you intended it to take.
Well, the applause that you just heard was for the rifleman, Buddy Hall.
Who closed out that match by pocketing the 9 on the break 3 games in a row.
He pocketed the 9 on the break on 3 consecutive games to defeat, I don't know who he was playing there. Who was he playing over there, Grady?
Joe Blackburn.
Joe Blackburn. He defeated him 11-1.
I know that we played at a tournament in Rocky Mount, North Carolina a few years ago, and they were offering a $5,000 prize to anybody that made the 9-ball 3 times in a row on the break. I don't think they're doing that here, though, are they?
No, they're not.
Meantime, Johnny Archer just cut the 2-ball in backwards, made a very, very nice shot. Looks like he has a cross-eyed shot on the 3.
You know, I'll go back to a statement you made just a little while ago, Bill. You said Johnny appeared to be complacent when the match started, but I think tentative might have been a better word, because it looks like he's getting his confidence. He's starting to shoot more at balls, and part of the reason is because Louie is not threatening him with his play. So Johnny's starting to feel more comfortable. So I think he was tentative at the beginning of the match, because he's wondering, how's this guy going to play on me? I mean, this is Louie Roberts, and his reputation, even when he doesn't play anymore, it still precedes him.
I don't believe he was thinking anything about Louie Roberts. I've noticed Johnny. He has a tough time starting in a lot of his matches. I don't know. I don't think he was thinking about Louie Roberts at all. You know.
Well, let's
But of
face
course,
it, all of us have a hard time starting sometimes. It's not easy to get out there and play championship pocket billiards from the opening bell.
Well, you're right. And most players, usually the longer they play, the better they play, and it's hard to start out playing good right away. A few players do it, like Mike Siegel does it real good. He plays good all the time, and Nick Varner's another one, and Kim Davenport and Earl, all those guys do. And they've also, all of those guys have also had strings where they won numerous tournaments in a row.
Yeah, well, they sense the urgency to get out of the gate quickly, and that's something that young Johnny Archer hasn't realized yet. You know, he has to pump himself up at the beginning of the match. He doesn't have to fall behind or really have a disappointing start to get going. He has to pump himself up from the get-go.
Well, I usually do pretty good at the beginning. It's the middle and the end where I have a problem.
Now, once again, Louie came up a little bit short. He really wanted to come up about another 4 or 5 inches.
He's all right here. This is a Louie Roberts
Well, he's
type
okay, but
position
it really
pattern.
isn't anywhere near ideal.
Well, this shot here is a classic skid shot. If the cue ball was going to skid, it would be on this type of shot where you're slow rolling the ball.
That's exactly right. But of course, he made it look easy, pocketing the 8 ball. This is game number 10. If he pockets a 9, which he has just done, he will cut into that lead and now only trail 4 games to 6. Well, the match is reasonably close. He's within striking distance. This is game number 11. He's trailing 6 games to 4. You really can't discount him in this match. I mean, he certainly has come from behind many times in his career before. There's no reason why he can't do it now. He seems to be fairly comfortable out there.
I think his tempo is terrific. He's playing at about the right. He just needs to break him there. Look, he put more on it there. He moved to the side.
This time he got 2 balls past the side
Well,
pocket.
let's call a spade, fellas. Louie finally checked the rack, half-heartedly. You've got to check that rack thoroughly.
Well, one thing that I've noticed about Johnny Archer is that the times that I've played him, even on a bar table, I've had a real hard time making a ball. And I don't want to say anything bad, but it just seemed like he knows how to rack the balls for sure, because it's hard to make balls on his rack. Which you can't fault a guy, because I'm trying to win, he's trying to win, Louie's trying to win, we're all trying to win. And if I can shut my opponent out on the break, I'll do everything that I can, outside of
Within the boundaries of legality to stop him, but of course.
And he's also, it's like if he doesn't like the way the balls are racked, then it's his prerogative to come up and check the rack, and if he sees something he doesn't like, to correct it.
Well, Billy doesn't like us to talk about things like that, but speaking from my own point of view, when I play in tournaments where there are referees, last 2 tournaments I played in where they had referees, there was only 1 rack in both tournaments that I didn't make a ball on the break. This tournament, I think I've made like 2 balls in the entirety of the tournament, period. But of course, my opponents are racking for me. I'm sure that no foul play is intended. I'm sure they'd like me to have a fair opening shot, the same as theirs.
Well, another factor I was going to bring up just a while ago is that we also are playing on Simonis cloth for the first time in a MPBA tournament. Usually we're playing on a Stevens or a Malley or something like that, and the difference is that the Simonis doesn't have much of a nap. It's not a real thick cloth, and the other stuff has a real thick nap, and it's thick, and so there are characteristics in the cloth that separate them, and also makes the break a little bit different of a factor, and also the way you play.
He wants to go into the 8 and the 6 here. That's what he's looking at.
Yeah, and to do that, he's going to have to sacrifice a little accuracy on the 4 ball. But he wants to hit this a little harder than a roll. I don't believe I would have hit it that hard, but he's come out just about perfectly with that shot. He's got a nice shot on the 5, the 6 ball in front of the corner pocket. I didn't visualize that shot
Well, I saw it just the way
developing like it did with that speed.
If he hits it easier, the cue ball could go through the 8, and he could have ended up behind the 6 ball. Now here he just wants to make it, maybe go into the 9 ball here.
See, it looked to me like you could have went into the 6 just knocking it away from the 8, and the cue ball would have stopped there, and you have your shot on the 5. But to me, it looked to me like he got real lucky to get a shot on the 5 ball. Didn't it look like that to you, Bill?
Yeah, I didn't think he shot the shot correctly. I don't think he should have hit it nearly that hard. But of course, he got good results with that particular shot. I really can't knock it right now, especially since he's running out, and I'm up here struggling trying to get out. But
and this is another tournament where your entry fee did not reach the promoter. What was the problem?
Well, I haven't played in very many tournaments this year, and my intentions are in the future not to play in very many tournaments. And I have my reasons. I don't care to go into them right now. But I would worry about your playing in these tournaments opposed to why I'm not getting into them myself, okay?
Well, at least Jeff and I are entering. We are in our customary position on the second day of the tournament, relegated to the loser's bracket in abject ignominy.
Yeah, I noticed that you try to pick up Jeff as a supporter by including him in, like saying, notice that Jeff and I have entered. Jeff and I have entered.
I'll tell you something. The way things have been going for me, the only reason I feel like I'm still in the tournament is because I had the day off.
Well, Jeff, you know, I think that you should enter in as many tournaments as you can. You're currently ranked number 5 on the MPBA Tour. You're playing extremely well. Just so happened that this particular tournament, you didn't get off to a good start. I think you losing your first match, but you're still in the tournament. You're on the loser side. But no, on the other hand, the man, Jason Toomey on my left, he's been struggling quite a bit. And he constantly blames it on the rules, the luck, and everything else, okay? And I don't think that he's treating himself fairly. I think that he should just work a little harder at his game if he's going to continue entering in these events.
Well, whenever you see a guy play good and he gets lucky, well, that's not really luck. That's the result of hard work.
Well, let's end the game number 11. Johnny Archer now extends his lead over Louie Roberts 7 games to 4. Grady, if you want me to explain to you how to prepare yourself for tournament play, I'll be more than glad to do that.
Billy,
There's a certain way.
I'm perfectly happy with my life. I ended up ranked like 11th or 12th, but I only played in a third of the tournaments, but I made it a substantial amount of money gambling, and I like gambling for the simple reason that I only have to beat one guy. I pay like 2% pool table time. I have some say-so on what the bet is, when we play, what the game is, what time we play. And I go to a tournament, in direct contrast, I have to beat 10 world champions to end up with 2,500. I'm very happy with my life.
Well, I didn't say that you weren't. I just thought that, you know, I might give you a little constructive criticism, you know, and that way, you know, you would do a little better in the tournaments.
I think a better word for it, Bill, would be unsolicited advice.
That's very good, Jeff. You've corrected me 4 times in the last 20 minutes.
I've got a nice statement that my lawyer gave to me the other day. When pool players come up to me now and ask me for money, I tell them I'd like to help, but I'm cash poor at the moment.
Now, Louie Roberts has fallen, I think, on the wrong side. No, he's come up again. He's in line. I thought that he was a little deeper than that. The score is 7-4 right now. He's only behind by 3 games, and he can't afford to drop behind any further than this and expect to win.
Well, it looks like he's got to pull this cue ball back just a little bit to keep from hitting the 9. So he's going to come back between the 6 and the 9 here.
He struck that shot perfectly.
He hit it quite well, and when he hit it with that easy stroke, I thought there was a chance of him going into the 9, but obviously I was wrong. He cleared it easily.
He would like to have been a shade higher here.
And this shouldn't create much of a problem. You know, he can bridge fairly well here, and the 6 ball doesn't seem to be that tough of a shot. Playing the 7 in the same pocket as the 6. Even though he's against the rail, it's a fairly easy shot. He'll just roll across the table. The score is 7-4 in favor of Johnny Archer at this time. It looks like Louie is going to cut into that lead. You know, he's fighting back. He's, like I said before, you know, he's not out of it yet. At the end of game number 12, it's Louie Roberts now has 5 games to Johnny Archer's 7. What was that, Grady?
Louie's always been possessed of a fighting heart. He's not a dissembler.
Well, I think the main thing is when you're playing in these matches is that whatever happens to you, you have to be able to keep your composure and never give up, because as long as the match is still being played, you still have a chance to win.
Well, I'm going to do something. I don't care if the whole room laughs at me. You're going to see a new Grady Mathews at 9-ball tournaments. When I play, I'm going to set myself up a partition, and I'm going to face away from the table and not watch anything my opponent does. Then whatever I get left with, I can think to myself, if I'm snookered, well, the guy made a good shot. If he lucks balls in, I don't have to at least torture myself by watching it.
Well, there's another way you can do that. You know, you don't have to set up a partition. You just wear a mask, you know, or you know, wear right, like the Lone Ranger's mask. You can wear one of those without the eye hole. And then when it's your shot, you have someone tap you on the shoulder like Grady.
That's what I used to wear when I'd have my wife beat me with a 2x4 in preparation for one of these tournaments. I'd put that mask on. Oh, you think that's funny? In that way, though, it can be just me against the sport, the game, the table.
Well, look, to me, it looked like what was he trying to do? He was trying to hook him behind the 3 and the 9, or he was trying to make the 1, but if he missed it, he hooked him, or...
I don't know what he had in mind. If he pocketed the 1 ball, he certainly didn't have the required position on the 2 to get to the 3 with ease. I don't know what he tried to do there, and I'm afraid to venture to guess.
Well, this goes back to the thinking. See, if you haven't been playing, then you're rusty in your thinking. And there, he should have either tried to hook him and not make the 1, or make the 1 and run out. It looked to me like was trying to do 2 things at once. He was trying to shoot the 1 and make it, and hook him if he missed. You know.
Yeah, he was undecided, or at least it looked that way. In the meantime, Johnny Archer wasn't undecided. He knew exactly what he had to do: put him behind the 4 ball and send him to the kicking game.
Nice shot.
That was a very nice shot. Very, very well executed shot. Do you see any safeties here, or just the type of a shot where you're just going to have to go for the hole?
He'd come right down behind the 2 ball.
I think I just go ahead and try to bank this ball, because even if he doesn't make the bank, he still got a chance to hook him. But he hit that with excellent speed, and to get that kind of a result, it's kind of asking quite a bit of yourself, I would think. But of course, he hit it perfectly.
Well, you know, it's like assuming the table rolls the way you want it to, then you can execute. But to slow roll a ball like that, the length of the table, and then have the results end up like that, to me, is very risky. I don't. If you can execute it, fine. But it just seemed to me it was awful hard to do that, even though he did do it.
That's exactly right. I thought it was asking quite a bit of yourself to do that, you know, and have it come out like it. He came out, but I thought if he banked the 1 ball, he had a chance to make it, and if he didn't make it, there was a possibility of him not giving Louie a shot because where the 4 and 9 were located.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. You know, one thing that for the people that are interested in pool and they'd like to improve their game is that when you're shooting shots, whenever you take the just let the slow roll the cue ball, or the object ball for that matter, and let the balls be affected by the roll of the table, such as shooting slow speed, then you're taking your life in your own hands, so to speak, because if the table doesn't roll exactly straight, and which very few do, then you're going to get in trouble. So if you should always avoid slow rolling the cue ball and the object ball unless you have absolutely no other choice.
Well, I think he's got a problem here now. If he pockets the 2 ball, the 3 ball will go in the other corner pocket, but getting position on the 4 seems to be a problem. I think he's got a problem here.
He's going to stay inside the 9 here.
Yeah, right. He can't shoot this one hard to force it out. He wanted to get straight in, I think, so he could stop the cue ball right there, or even possibly even draw it back a little bit. But he didn't get quite straight in. So now he's got to make the 3, and he looks like he's looking at the point on the side pocket. The cue ball's going to hit the point and come back towards the 9 and the 4.
He's going to be able to make the 4 if he's able to lag this 3 in the corner.
Well, hit the point and just stop right there. The point will just stop the momentum of the cue ball. He'll just stop right there.
Got to shoot this nice and easy, though.
He struck it extremely well. He seems quite pleased with the results. Shoot the 4 ball in the lower right-hand corner. It will come 2 rails, 3/4 up the table, or I should say about 2 feet up the table, and shoot the 5 in the same pocket. He actually wanted a little more angle. He wanted to go to the bottom rail and back up for the 6. Now he looks like he's got an awkward angle on the 5, and it's not one where he can force the ball. It's not one where he can draw the ball comfortably. He's got an awkward angle here, and he's really unhappy about it. But with his shot-making ability and his fine stroke, I think he'll be able to handle it.
Well, if he could get the cue ball back somewhere with the kind of angle that he's got right now, that's what he'd be looking for. We can just roll the 6 down in the corner and shoot the 8 over in the other corner.
Now he'll just roll straight up the table, pocketing the 8 ball in the opposite corner pocket. Shouldn't create any problem for this young man.
I don't know. I think this is not the easiest shot in the world. I've missed a few of these in my career.
Well, when you start missing balls like this, you certainly can't expect yourself to win a world-class tournament.
Or even that rack from.
Or even that rack, especially if it was a 9. This is game number 13. Johnny Archer has a 7-5 advantage at this moment, and he's looking to change it. It looks like he was going to lengthen his lead to 8-5. Well, time's running out on Louie Roberts, Jeff and Grady. He's falling behind now 8-5. Now a 3-game deficit, especially later in the match, is a lot more difficult to overcome naturally than it is at the beginning of the match. So now, what kind of odds do you think is going against Louie Roberts right now to win this particular match?
To win the match? Well, you'd have to have a probability tree to calculate it exactly. But he should win 25% of the matches from an 8-5 deficit, I would think.
Maybe after the break. Before the break, I think it's a little bit higher than that.
I would have a feeling that it would be slightly higher than 1 out of 4, considering that he's the underdog going into the match, and he's behind by 3 games, especially at this stage of the match.
Well, I'm not the best odds maker in the world. That was just a rough guess.
Well, I didn't say that you were wrong with your estimation, but that's just my personal feeling of it. And Jeff feels it should be slightly higher. Doesn't mean that you're wrong and we're more accurate. It's just a feel that we have. In the meantime, Johnny Archer did pocket a ball on the break. He's at the table with a good shot on the 1, and it looks like that I would have to make him a favorite to run these balls.
Well, now we got to look back and see what happened. How did this all start? Well, this started with the shot that Louie had off the break on the 1 ball, where he was shooting it up in the corner, and it looked like he really wasn't decided what he was going to do, try to pocket the 1 and run out or play safe. And it looked like he tried to do both. He made a mistake, and then Johnny hooked him, and then Louie was kicking after that, and that's what cost him. So it was a mental error that started out for him to lose that game, and then it's going to cost him this game too, it looks like.
Well, he's gotten himself in trouble right here, Jeff, at least if he expects to run these balls. And even if he pockets the 2 ball in the left-hand corner, the lower right-hand corner pocket, I don't see any really accessible route to get to the 3. Do you see anything?
Yes, he goes up above the 7 and just stays right there around the side pocket. That's probably, I think, the correct.
I don't know if he can get above the 7 going 2 rails. I think he'll run into the 9. Well, he can, and he hit a little bit too hard. I like your shot, but of course, if he would have hit a little harder, he would have had a shot in the 3 in the other corner.
Well, that's what he tried to do, but that was a rough way to go. The way I described shooting it, he could probably do it almost every time.
You have more control on the cue ball by shooting it
you
your way.
accept a little harder shot on the 3, but at least you can get on it every single time.
Like he missed that 9 ball by probably 6 inches, and he almost hit into the 7. So he could have drew that ball even more.
He could have gotten a little higher.
Yeah.
Sure. And he'd have had to maybe use a little inside English on a 3, but again, not a hard shot for a terrific shot maker like Johnny Archer.
Well, that may have been why he decided to go around the table, considering where the 6 was located. The 6 was located on the right-hand portion of our screen near the side pocket. So therefore, if he chose to stop near the corner, the side pocket on the left-hand side of the table, achieving position on that particular shot might have created a little more of a problem for him, and maybe he wasn't happy with that. So that's why he probably tried to play position on the 3 in the other corner pocket. But of course,
well, Louie can make this.
Yeah, Louie can make it. He's behind 8-5 right now. He's got to go the length of the table.
He's got to aim a slightly thicker at this, maybe to the left-hand side of the pocket as he's looking at it. He had a shot like this that he missed earlier in the match where he overcut it slightly.
Well, here's where there's one of those shots where you have to slow roll the ball, because in order to get on the 6 ball. And he hit it real good.
He hit it exactly the way Grady suggested that he would hit it, or he should hit it. He hit it very good. He's got a nice shot in the 6 ball with an ideal angle to come cross table slightly for the 7.
He doesn't want to hit this too hard. He'd like to have a little angle on the 7 anyway. That's just
right. He hit it at perfect speed. Perfect speed.
And he needs to make sure to get these 3 balls off the table and narrow the gap, get right back in the thick of this.
There was 2 ways of playing the shot that he just shot. One way was to play like he did, coming cross table twice, and the other way was just to go 1 rail on out. I guess if you can execute it, the right way to play it was the way he played it, because you get a little firmer hit on the I believe it was the 7 ball, wasn't it? And a little more accuracy on the shot that way. You'll miss it less, but of course you have to hit it a little firmer if you decide to play it that way. Meantime, this is game number 14. That was game number 14, and now Louie Roberts only trails in the match 8 games to 6. And it looks like that 25% of the time might show up here.
Just behind us is Bobby Hunter. I'd like to congratulate him on his thrilling victory at the Straight Pool Championship of the World only last month in Cleveland. Bobby, that did all of us a lot of good. I've been pulling for you to win one of those things for a long time.
Well, thanks, Grady. I've been working on it for a long time.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate you also, Bob. And I talked to you before that tournament began, and we were on the telephone. I asked you how you were playing, and you said, I just got a new Southwest cue. I really like it, and I've been running 150, 160, 170 balls, and, you know, but I said to myself, yeah, but that was at home. Now you're in Cleveland with all those champions. Of course, I said this to myself. And let's see if you can do it now. In the meantime, you won the tournament.
Well, I've always
Congratulations.
considered Bobby to be one of those champions.
Hold it a second. Well, I never said that he wasn't, but I was just telling you what I was thinking to myself. In the meantime, all of a sudden, we have an 8-7 game here. Louie Roberts made a ball in the break. He had a 2-9 combination. This match is starting to get very interesting.
As we suspected it might. And Louie didn't make anything on the break. He really needed to make something on the break and get out again and knot this match up.
The last time he broke, he made at least 2 balls on the break, and and so when he broke the balls this time, he put the cue ball in the same spot, hoping for similar results. And I think he didn't make anything on the break for whatever reason. But it's a very crucial that this rack right here to run out. If Johnny doesn't run out here, then you're looking at a tied ball game very possibly.
Well, I don't make Johnny Archer a favor to get out this particular rack. You know, getting on the 3 balls is a problem in itself.
Well, I like the way he played this position.
Yeah, he can go 3 rails around. Now, getting from the 5 to the 6 is another problem. So therefore, with them compounding problems, the 2 to the 3 and the 5 to the 6, I make Johnny Archer a slight dog to get out this particular rack. Well, he chose to go twice across table, which from the results was a good judgment. Of course, he had an option. He could have went 3 rails around, or he could have gone the way he went.
Well, I think the reason he played it like that is because as long as he stays on that angle, he can't get hooked behind the 8. Where if you follow it coming around, your angle coming off the 3rd rail is a lot steeper, where if your speed isn't right, you could hook yourself behind the 8.
That's very, very good, Jeff. That was a good observation there, and it's exactly why he chose to play it the way he did. But coming from the 5 to the 6 is going to be a problem for him. He wants to get on that side of the 5. He wants to get on the left-hand side of our screen, shoot the 5 in the right-hand corner pocket, and come across table.
He's got a number of ways he can get on the 6 if he does get in the right spot on the 5. That's just about perfect.
Yeah, this is exactly where he wanted to get. Now he has an option to drop below the 6 or underneath or in front of the 6 and then underneath it. This is very interesting. You like him to come in front of the 6 and try to hit it from the rail out or drop behind it that way?
I like that the best because he could actually get on the 6 to shoot it over there by the 8. It goes in the side. It goes in the left-hand corner pocket closest to us.
Yeah, and if he chooses to go the other way, there's a possibility that he may run into the 6, get behind the 7, or go into the 7, or hit it short. This way he can hit the shot with a little more stroke. I don't like the way he's played this ball at all, and it looks like he doesn't like it either. This score is 8-7 right now in favor of Johnny Archer. Louie Roberts stepped to the table with the ball in hand. He looks like he has a very makeable combination in 1-9, Jeff. I don't think there's any decision here.
Well, I think he's going to make it. I think what Johnny did there, he was playing for the combination, and as long as the cue ball stops in the right spot, he's going to have a good shot on the 6-7. However, that there was only one spot that he had because of the nature of the shot that he had on the 5. So I think he would have been better off trying to go into the ball instead of playing for the combination.
Exactly right, and the right way of going into the balls was the way that Grady suggested, go 2 rails and then go into the ball. Or
well,
if you miss the ball,
I would never play a combination like that
no,
when I have a reasonable shot to get on the next ball.
I totally disagree with Johnny's decision there, and from the results, it looks like he was very unhappy with it also.
Well, he'll stop and he'll look back and say, well, maybe I should have played that different, because what he was doing right there was he was crossing position instead of playing a shot where you have the angle that will bring the cue ball right into the 6-7, and it can stop anywhere from 6 inches away or 3 feet away and still have the same angle.
Well, Louie certainly didn't take much time with that shot.
He was somewhat precipitous in his approach to that shot. I don't think he studied where the one was going to go either. He's going to be looking at a snooker unless I'm sadly mistaken. Johnny didn't hook him here.
Well, yeah, that was very important to hook him there because the 2 and 8 are tied up, and in order to run, well, this is a very difficult rack. The 2 and 8 are tied up. The 6 and 9 are tied up.
Well, the 6 and 9 are tied up, but the 9 looks like it's dead over in the other hole. So if he can maybe nudge the 2 ball a little bit here with the cue ball and hook him, there's a very good chance that he could run this table if he gets a good hook, which he did.
Oh, what a nice shot.
You mean something like that, Jeff?
Yes.
Oh, there it goes one more time. Johnny Archer didn't sense the urgency or the need to hook Louie on his last shot. He just got up there, stretched, and shot real quick. In the meantime, Louie came back and played a perfect shot, knocking the 2 and 8 free, hooking Johnny, and now Louie has the advantage right here. This score is tied up at 8 games apiece. Louie swings the cue ball around 2 rails like so, gets a shot in the 2 ball. Johnny Archer could be in a lot of trouble this match.
Right, if he gets on the 2 ball good, and then he gets on the 3, he can stop the cue ball straight in on 3 in the side pocket, and then he can swing 2 rails around on the 5 ball down underneath the 7 to be a straight in on the 6-9.
That's certainly the ideal way of playing this. It looks like he's going to do just that, Jeff. He's gotten himself in just about perfect position on the 2. Now all he has to do is avoid the 8 here and come straight up the table. Shoot the 3 in the side pocket, stop the cue ball like Jeff suggested. Then come 2 rails around in front of the 7 and dropping on the end rail. I don't think he's come up far enough. It looks like he's a little off angle here.
Well, he might be able to slow roll this in the side pocket. I think that's what he's thinking about. If he can do that where he doesn't lose his angle, either that or he's going to have to pull the cue ball around 2 rails and to get that angle that he wants, that natural type of angle.
I don't think he can slow roll this.
See, one thing, like when that safety that Johnny made where it was a poor safety, I think that the cloth might have had something to do with this because Simonis is a little faster than the other type of cloth we've been playing on, and so the balls bounce more when they hit the rail and they travel farther when you hit them, and a shot that it might have been perfect speed on a different type of cloth is too hard on this.
Well, he's really gotten himself out of line here. He is going to go 2 cushion. He has to shoot this shot absolutely perfect to go 2 cushion. He's going to get a lot of slide here. This is the problem with this particular type of a shot. He had hit that shot very short, but he would risk the chance of scratching in that corner pocket if he hit it real short.
That's not. Maybe he played for the kick. I
don't know if he played for the kick, but it certainly wouldn't. He moved the 8 ball. That's a foul there. Johnny Archer didn't even see it.
That's not a foul to move the 8.
That's a foul there.
That is not a foul.
Well, the 9 ball may have hit the 8 ball, so therefore it's a foul.
A cue ball has to hit one of them that he moved.
I disagree with that entirely. I think that's a foul in MPBA
I'd
rules.
like a good French dinner tonight. You want dinner at the French restaurant? Is a wager on that?
Go ahead, Billy.
Are you staking this, Jeff?
I'm in with Grady.
Well, if you move the ball out of the path of another moving ball, you mean to tell me it's not a foul?
The only time it's a foul is if you intentionally move the ball with your hand. If you interfere with the path of the cue ball by moving an object ball, that's a foul.
Well, I know that's a foul, but I thought that by moving a ball and a 9 ball moving ball would go across that path. That should be a foul too.
Well, there's a lot of things that should be.
In the meantime, Johnny Archer didn't even see him move the 8 ball. That's what I was referring to before.
When he shot it, Louie was standing in the right spot to where he stood up, and he did have a block that he did hit the 8. That's why Johnny didn't see it.
He's got to be careful.
He shouldn't roll this. He should not roll this shot. He should go ahead and stroke it.
I was going to say hit just before the side. He got even better on it.
Now he can roll this one. There's no problem here. Or there isn't any problem with rolling this. Of course, he's electing to do something other than that. Which I don't know. It's kind of touchy, but obviously worked out well for him.
Yeah, looked to me like he could have hit that ball with a little bit of inside English there and just go down the rail, and then the spin, the inside English takes it away from the 9, so he's got straight in. But
So he maintains that nice angle on the 9, but he didn't see it that way. And of course, successfully running the remaining 2 balls takes a 9-8 lead in the match. Now it's getting kind of late. Louie Roberts made a mistake on his position on the 5 ball. That's why he ended up in back at the 9-6. Elected to kick at the 6-9, which was at this point of the match ill-advised. But nevertheless, he did that. Johnny Archer won that game, and it looks like Louie's gotten himself in a little more difficult situation.
He's got to worry about Johnny pocketing 2 or 3 balls on the break here and having a Shirley Temple.
Well, he did pocket 3 balls in the break, 4 balls in the break, 5 balls on the break. 5 balls on the break. I mean, you know, I mean, this isn't right. For some reason, this is not right.
Well, that's why a lot of the pros think the game should be made into 10 ball. A lot better game.
Either 10 ball or have a rack zone where you can rack the balls. Anyway, the corner ball flew straight in the hole, you know. And even with that type of even playing 10 ball, you're still going to make balls with the way he hit the rack there. It's almost unavoidable. But yet when the balls go flying straight in the hole, there's something you should be able to rack the balls either above the spot or below them. I mean, whatever would stop that.
I agree with that. Notice the position of the cue ball. That's the only thing he did wrong on the break.
Yes, it should have been about 6 inches farther down in the middle of the table.
Yeah. Well, anyways, he had broken the balls there in game number 18, pocketing 5 balls in the break, stopping the cue ball just about in the center of the table with a very easy shot into 3, 6, 7, and 9. Shouldn't create much of a problem for him. Looks like he's going to have a nice 10-8 lead in this match if he keeps his mind on his business.
Well, it's been several games ago since Johnny's made a mistake, really. He's gotten just about right on this ball. A little inside English right down to the end rail and back up.
Well, you know, this match here right now is, even though Johnny's on the hill, it's still a very close match, and it's by no means over. But you have to look back on the mistakes that Louie made. Those mental errors, unforced errors, were a wrong shot selection, shooting too fast without thinking. And if he would eliminate those mistakes, you know, he could have won the match by now.
Well, you could go back to where he needed to
That's
get straight
exactly
in
right.
on the 3 ball, so he could go the 2 cushions out on the 5 to play the 6-9 combination. He got up there and just one stroke that, and that was one of those shots we've been alluding to all along in these commentaries, where a lot of shots you're better off too far or not far enough. Now, if he gets on the high side of the 3, there's no problem with that rack at all.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And then also his choice of how he played position. Well, he should have went ahead and tried to get the position that he wanted on that by shooting a 3 and bringing the cue ball around 2 rails, because even if he doesn't go get where he wants, he's still got the same shot that he left himself in the first place.
Well, I thought he had a choice there of playing at 2 cushions or even going down to the end rail off the 3 ball with a little inside English and kind of a center ball hit and coming back up 1 rail and getting in the desired spot. But the way he elected to do it was pretty low percentage in my book.
Well, yeah, you had to hit it absolutely perfect the way he played it in order to get position.
Right, and now if he had gotten out there, now he comes to the table leading 9-8. Now if he's fortunate enough to return to the table, which he's going to here because Johnny's going to have to push out, he's trailing 8 games to 10.
That's right. And for a player like Louie Roberts to come from behind with the score 10-8 is asking quite a lot, only because he doesn't have that killer break. You know, you have to have that type of a break to win 2 or 3 consecutive games at this stage of the match, 10-8, 10-7, 10-9, because you can't afford to lose any more games, and therefore you must have a tremendous break to win 3 games in a row.
I think he snookered Johnny here.
It's very close. I think Johnny can see a portion of the ball.
Well, I don't like what Louie did there. Look where he would have been had he pocketed the 2. In fact, he hit it a little bit thick.
Well, that's a very tough situation there too. It's like you can't tell him to tell. You know, it's hard to tell Johnny to shoot again, and then you're thinking, well, what can I do? And it's like you try to play it safe and sell out. So, you know, he probably felt like, well, if I'm going to sell out, I'm going to go ahead and shoot at the ball instead of just trying to play safe and leave him straight in.
Well, Johnny got away with a little something there. He didn't mean to hit the 5 ball, and yet he snookered Louie.
I think something strange is going to happen in this match. I just got the feeling, especially in this particular game right here. I think something strange is just about to happen.
Well, I think it's very interesting the way the balls are juxtaposed, Bill.
Juxtaposed? That sounds like a carnival word.
Well, at least Billy has spared us his antediluvian tactics today.
Juxtaposed?
Juxtaposed.
Sounds like a French word.
Juxtaposed.
That's right.
Jeff, it's time for your Earl imitation. Why don't you tell us about Earl educating the audience? Come on, let's do that for our listeners.
Well, I tell you what, I ain't never come this tournament again. And they need to educate the crowd, too.
Is that perfect or what?
Let's be a little more quiet and give these players a little more respect and consideration, okay?
Yes, that they deserve.
Meantime, like I mentioned a little earlier, I think something funny is going to happen here. Now Johnny Archer has hooked himself, especially with the opportunity to close the match out here. He's hooked himself. That's really uncharacteristic of Archer, being ranked number 8 on the Pro Tour. Looks like when he has the opportunity presented to him to close out a match, he usually does that. Now it looks like he's stumbled slightly here. What's he looking to do here? I don't know.
He's
looking
thinking
to
about 2-railing the 3 ball and going back down by the 4 with the cue ball.
Yeah. Seems to me that's what's on his mind here. He wants to make sure that he avoids hitting the 3 into the 8, 2 rails it, and
I don't think he can hit the 3 thick enough to get it down to the end rail. He's going to be concerned with having the cue ball behind the 5 and 6 ball. Well, he could hit it thick enough.
well, it looks like he's done his job here. He's hooked Louie one more time behind the 6 in the 7. And I still think something strange is going to happen here, Jeff.
Well, I think when he kicks at this ball, he wants to come down 2 rails and then hit the 3. I don't think he wants to hit underneath it because there's a chance he could scratch. He wants to hit the kiss off the side of 3 and bring the cue ball back up by the 4 and the 9, if he can. Well, so far he got a favorable roll there. Just hope that Johnny can't hook him on this shot. So far, this rack, Louie has gotten a lot of favorable rolls already to keep the match still in play.
Yes, he certainly has, and he desperately needs them. Trailing 8 games to 10. One more win from Johnny will send this match to send Louie to the loser side, I should say. Johnny seems to be a little baffled with this particular shot, and
I'd play to put him behind the 5 here.
yeah, but in doing so, he might pocket the 8 ball.
No, you hit the 3 thinner than that and easier than that.
Well, to hit the 3 easy and put it behind the 5 is asking quite a bit,
Or
because you
you
have to
just hit-
stroke the ball fairly decent to get it over there.
You only hit the 3 hard enough to get it just past the side pocket.
Well, he elected to do something else. He elected.
Well, the same shot I'm talking about that's just what I'm referring to. The 3 comes a little farther, the cue ball stays a little lower, so you end up with the same result.
This time he has quite a difficult task, Jeff.
Well, he better hit this ball. He's in big trouble. But the way Johnny shot that shot, it really looks like he's comfortable with the speed of the table. Seems like he's got it down real good.
Okay, now once again, Johnny Archer has been presented with an opportunity to close out the match. The score is 10-8 in favor of Johnny Archer. The 3 ball was a very easy shot. The 4 ball is pocketable. All the balls are lying fairly decent on the table. Johnny must close out the match here if he expects to win. He really can't give a player like Louie Roberts many more opportunities at the table.
Well, I think he's going to shoot the 3 in and roll back over on the other side of the same side he's on now, which he did. He's on that side, and he'll shoot the 4 in the corner and just draw the cue ball back a little bit, shoot the 5 in the side. And if he can get on the 5 good, then the match should be over.
Yes, this is the winning shot coming up right here on the 4 ball, gaining position on the 5. He knows it. He's going to take his time with it. If he gets a good shot on the 5 ball, he'll close Louie out right here in this particular game.
There shouldn't be any problem with the remainder of this rack. And you, the penultimate analyst, have so called it.
Okay, well, he's actually he wanted to come up and off that rail a little further.
Well, he's found a way to make it hard.
Well, like there is a problem. You know, when you have to stretch like he did and draw the cue ball back, because he didn't want the cue ball to get away from him, and in order to maintain the control of the cue ball, he had to hit the 4 ball fairly full. And when you hit the 4 ball full, the cue ball
French too. Hit the 4 ball what?
Full, like you, a fool. Well, anyways, sorry I said that, but I had to. You forced me to do that.
I asked you 4 times.
4 times. In the meantime, he wanted to get off the rail a little more than that, but this is the shot that he has. He has to deal with it. He's going to concentrate on this particular shot. Okay, he pocketed the 5 ball, running into the 6. He intended to run into the 6, but he didn't want to hit it that hard. Now he's got himself a cross-side bank, which I think he's almost forced to shoot the cross-side bank unless I don't see much else what he can do here.
Well,
Bob Hunter said he didn't think he wanted to hit the 6 that foo.
Now, you've been spending too much time around Chicago. Now, you got Bobby started, another tangy.
Looks good to me. Johnny Archer is now only 3 shots away from winning this match. Louie Roberts pounded his stick in approval that he made a nice shot.
And we can record this one for posterity, boys. I'm going to leave the post-game interview to you. And it's been a pleasure.
You mean to tell me you're not
working with you.
You're not going to stick around and listen to Johnny Archer? We're going to get him up here momentarily, if in fact he wins this match, which it looks like there's no reason why he shouldn't. But aren't you going to stick around?
No, I have an important matter to tend to, but I appreciate being accorded the privilege of sitting up here with you guys and discussing this match, and I look forward to next time.
Okay, it's been a pleasure, Grady, and thank you one more time for joining us, and we'll be looking forward to having your presence again in the near future.
And if you want to regale me with some more patented hyperbole in the post-match interim, please see me in the bar in about 20 minutes.
Sounds like you're drunk already. Anyways, maybe we can get Johnny Archer up here, Jeff, and I'd like to ask him a question about what happened to him.
Louie.
No, Johnny. We want to get Johnny. What happened to him early in the match? I want to know, why is it that he has that tendency to start out sluggish and slow? I mean, what goes through his mind? I mean, I'd like to know, I'm just curious of finding out.
Well, I was planned on asking him that question, too. I also think that maybe we should interview Louie, too, because it actually, after all, it has been a long time since he's been regular on the Pro Tour, and I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts going through his mind about the match, and it'd be interesting to find out what he's thinking, being the great player that he is.
Yeah, I like to listen to Louie myself. He always has something interesting to talk about or to say, and I'm kind of curious to finding out what's on Louie's mind also, and I'm sure he'll have something exciting to say. Well, Johnny Archer is stepping into the booth now. I'd like to ask him a few questions, but first, what I really would like to do is wait till Louie Roberts comes into the booth and then ask him a few questions, and then we'll close with Johnny. How about this? Okay? Okay, Louie, you didn't win that match, but you know you didn't play poorly in the match. I think you should be really proud of the way you played, considering how often you have played on the Pro Tour. And how do you feel your performance was during this match? I mean, were you pleased with your performance this match?
Well, I was semi-pleased. I feel like I made significant runouts at proper times. I got some lucky rolls on combinations on the 9, but he's a young player and he's hot on the tour and he's playing good. I knew what I had in front of me, and there was a little bit of anxiety in my game, but all in all, I think that he played well and deserved to win the match.
Well, that was very generous of you, Louie. And by the way, I'd like to add something to that. I think that if I were you, I would feel very pleased with the way I performed, because you were in the match the entire way, only losing 11-8 to a fine player like Johnny Archer, who's currently ranked number 8 on the Pro Tour. And I feel you're just a short way away from coming back and really be competitive on the tour. You have anything to add to that, Jeff?
Well, I was just wondering if you plan on becoming a regular player on the tour.
Well, I've been real busy in St. Louis giving lessons and teaching and such, and I've been practicing on different types of tables. These PBA tables have affected my game a little bit. I have to get used to them, but I definitely intend to go back to the tour.
Well, we're certainly glad to hear that, and we wish you lots of luck in your future matches, Louie.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, Johnny, I mean, you're currently ranked number 8 in the world. You're playing at the top of your game right now, and I have a question to ask you. You played very well in spurts, and then you played well as far as I'm concerned during the match. Okay, but in the beginning of the match, why is it that you start slow?
I don't know. I just always have. I'm just nervous when I start the match, and then I have to get comfortable later in the match.
Because I brought up that point at the beginning of the match. You fell behind 3-1, and I made the comment to Jeff and Grady at that time. I said, it looks like that Johnny Archer has to fall behind before he's motivated for some reason. He just doesn't come out of the gate real quick. I don't know why. I can't figure that out.
I don't either. I wish I could figure it out too.
But you played very well during the match, beating Louie Roberts 11 games to 8. And in the last 2 tournaments you played in, you won. We have down here the Mid-South Open, Atlanta, Georgia, and also the Birmingham Open in Alabama. And you're kind of like on a roll now. And you also have won 4 consecutive matches in the King of the Hill Heavyweight Billiards television show. And that's, we haven't seen that yet. But when is that going to be televised?
Well, it's supposed to have been televised, and but I just got a notice in the mail that's going to be on ESPN at the end of this month.
And we'll be looking forward to watching you on that particular show. And Jeff Carter is kind of wondering why he hasn't been invited to play since he's the best player in Chicago. You have any answers for that?
No, all I know is they picked me and I come play. I don't know why they picked me or not.
Well, you're certainly glad they picked you. You won 4 consecutive matches there for a total prize of $16,000. And it looks like you're doing quite well in this tournament also. Anyways, Jeff, do you have anything to add to this? And maybe...
Well, I was just wondering what you think about how you played and if you have a reason why you won. What was the biggest factor in the game when you were playing the match?
I don't know. I thought I made some real good outs from different spots that I wasn't supposed to get out, and then I'd miss a ball or scratch on a ball straight in or something like that. I didn't understand why sometimes I'd make a real good out and then scratch, but I thought I played real good the whole match. I broke real well.
You did. You broke extremely well, and you did play very well. And the proof is in the pudding, defeating Louie Roberts 11-8, and it looks like you're on a roll. Hopefully you'll be able to stay on that roll, and good luck to you in your future matches, Johnny.
Thank you.
Good luck, Johnny.
Well, Jeff, it certainly has been a pleasure and a privilege again working with you and also Grady Mathews. And young Johnny Archer is a force to be reckoned with on the Pro Tour, and everyone is finding that out. In the meantime, I think that Earl Strickland is a different Earl Strickland in this tournament, not to change the subject, but I've seen Earl Strickland hit the practice tables time and time again during this tournament, and that's something that he hasn't been doing in prior tournaments. Now, he has probably practiced 10 hours in the last 2 days on the tournament tables, and I very rarely see him even hit a ball in other tournaments, and I feel that he's going to be extremely dangerous in this tournament.
Well, last year Earl, though he didn't have a bad year by most standards, he probably didn't consider it a good year. And I know a lot of times when he goes to a tournament, he doesn't even you never see him until right when his match is scheduled to play. And he also, like I said, didn't do what he would consider to be. He didn't have a very good year, so he's probably realized or is realizing that he's going to have to start practicing more before the tournament starts to get used to the tables, because if he doesn't, he's going to be doomed to have another year like he had last year. And he's used to winning 4, 5, 6 tournaments in a row.
That's exactly right. And now all of a sudden he doesn't have that feeling any longer, you know, of importance that he did have in the future. Excuse me, in the past. And he made a statement to me earlier today. He says, you know something? He says when you're young, you know, 21, 22, 23 years old, you don't ever have to practice. You get up there like when I was young. I got up there and ran out all the time. I never practiced, you know. He said, but now I got older. I'm 28 years old. You got to practice now.
He said, well, I haven't won a tournament in about 5 years, and I know I got to play some.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jeff. Really, it's been a pleasure working with you as always. In the meantime, I think Pat Fleming wants to close it out now. So for all you people that are interested in purchasing this tape, or for that matter, any other tape in this event or any other event, the 800 number is 1-800-828-0397. So now we're going to close it out, and I wish all the viewers lots of luck in their games, and stay in tune to ACCUSTATS videotapes, because you'll learn a lot.